Everyone getting into position here in the start box.
7 legs. The axis is 080. Wind is approximately 29 kilometers per hour.
That's race manager Melanie Roberts spelling things out. So, Stevie, here we go. Everyone going to play a little cat and mouse here. Who's going to blink first?
Oh, I can't wait. This, for me, is a dry... This is the last chance for New Zealand and Australia to land a punch on each other before the grand final in San Fran. Looks like they're going to be in it now. And, well, can Canada come and spoil the party? But I'm expecting a big, big fight between Australia and New Zealand.
Under a minute to go before the start of the final here at the ITM New Zealand Sail Grand Prix Christchurch. The Kiwis a little late coming in.
I think they're just trying to set it up to make sure they can line themselves up relative to the other boat. He's letting the other teams make the first move. Australia likes that, but Burling likes to be a bit more reactionary. He's going to see what they set up, see what opportunity presents itself for him with 35 seconds to go. What's the next move? Pole position, that blue mark on our line to the right of the screen, that's the optimum place to start on the line. I think that could be a little bit late by New Zealand, though. They're turning back. They're going to look to push Australia back towards the start line. We've got a pusher and a blocker here. It's going to be tight. Canada are well positioned. New Zealand need to get a move on here. They've got to start rolling over the top with 10 seconds to go. It's going to be a straight line drag race in. Canada are well positioned, but New Zealand are coming in hot. 3 seconds to go. Watch for the line to turn white. Blanket start there, and I think it's going to be a case of can New Zealand be fast enough? They're going to struggle to get round the top, but if anyone can do it, the Kiwis can do it. They've got to keep clear of Australia, and Canada are hanging on the inside.
And at mark number 1, it is all on here in the big final at the ITM New Zealand Sail Grand Prix Christchurch. And it is the Canadians out in front. Stevie, Emily, this would be their first final victory if they could pull it off.
Great start by Phil Robertson under pressure. He's in a good position. There's gate 2. Canada set up for the first turn here, and New Zealand are going to be held out by Australia. This is going to come down to the accuracy of manoeuvres here. It's so close. The Canadians are probably not quite as quick as Australia, but there they go. Both boats turn simultaneously, and it's another sprint. Australia on the inside. Canada have the right of way. Australia must keep clear, but that's a boundary there. He can't push the Australians into that. He's going to have to let them have room. Here we go. Canada's going to be aggressive now. Watch out. Australia must keep clear. Another aggressive move from Robertson.
Disappointing speeds from the Kiwis at the moment. 10 kilometers an hour slower than the other two teams.
Just sailing in that disturbed wind for New Zealand being at the back of the pack. I would imagine a right turn here for New Zealand. Canada, great move by Robertson, really aggressive. And Australia are pushed back to third. New Zealand dive in, but Canada are a little bit slow as they turn up. All 3 boats are making some small mistakes. Canada turn left, they get the first pick, and it's Burling's New Zealand up to second.
Pete Burling calling for the high mode. The Aussies right behind him.
He's trying to force the Australians out of his way at the moment. Until he gets to the boundary, the New Zealand boat can't turn because the right of way would be with Australia. As he gets to the boundary, he'll get protection, but Canada, they're sprinting away on the other side, able to sail fast.
On the other side of the course, Canada are doing 55, 56 kilometers an hour. Meanwhile, on the left-hand side of the course, we have the Kiwis and Aussies doing 40 kilometers an hour. Huge difference.
This is the umpires. Boundary penalty, Australia.
He's got to lose 20 metres there, too aggressive. That we kind of felt it might happen. They're trying to land punches on each other. They've gone slow. It's opened the door for Canada. But now, New Zealand are in space. They're 100 metres behind the Canadians. They've got some chasing to do.
In the grand scheme of things, New Zealand and Australia can give away points to Canada. They could let the Canadians get this first overall win for their program. Canada sits in 7th place overall on 49 points. Australia has 76, New Zealand 64. But, Stevie, you know these two guys. Pete Burling, Tom Slingsby, they've raced against each other, and they're not going to give each other an inch.
Todd, I've not spent a lot of time in New Zealand, but I can tell you one thing. Kiwis don't like losing in New Zealand. This is their home turf. They want to win for the fans. They want to win for themselves. And they're not going to like seeing Canada out in front. But also, let's not forget Phil Robertson. Yes, he's driving the Canadian boat. He's got a Kiwi accent too.
So Robertson, who used to sail for Spain, New Zealand by birth, and here he is sailing for Canada, trying to give them their first SailGP Grand Final victory.
Look at the lead come down, 60 metres, it was 100 metres, so the New Zealand boat is chipping away, but once again, Robertson lines them up. He's going the same way. He's limiting the opportunity for the Kiwis to overtake. They're going to have to use that boat speed that we saw on day one.
By staying close to the other teams, he's making sure he's in all the same wind shifts. So that means if the Kiwis get a different shift, Phil will get that as well, and they can cover, stay close, minimize losses.
Phil Robertson and Canada out in front, leg 3 of 7. This is the big final from Christchurch as we go down on the water, and Lisa Darmanin.
Well, Phil has the opportunity to just keep it simple. He'll probably do a left turn at this top gate, and the Kiwis will have to do another manoeuvre, while Australia may lay one and in to this left turn. So it's all on for this next cross.
So at gate number 3, it is Canada. Phil Robertson, the driver. Second place belongs to the Kiwis and Peter Burling. And third place, Australia, the two-time reigning and defending champions. And first place overall after 9 events, Australia.
It's tight for those two back there. Australia went out of bounds twice on this upwind leg, but those penalties haven't really hurt them. And here we go, 12 seconds the advantage for Canada over New Zealand. That's a slight stretch from where it was at gate 2. We're halfway through the race, and now the fleet's spread out a little bit. It's a little bit more of a battle of boat speed, but the Canadians, no problem with their boat speed right now. Look at that, 74 kilometers an hour, stretching out, and New Zealand, they're just struggling to keep pace with the Canadians.
They're already talking about the next gate, Stevie and Emily. They're looking for something.
Throwing back to that previous leg of the race, we can see that the Canadians averaged 53.4 kilometers an hour, while both Kiwis and Aussies were too busy battling each other out and a lot slower. It's less than 50.
Oh, in the back,
Canada!
Look at the jibe, Todd. They've fallen off. They turned the boat. They flew too high. They're back on the foils now, but they're going to have lost distance and they're going to be rattled. Can they recompose themselves? Opportunity now for the New Zealand boat to shut the distance, but it sounds like they've got it back under control on Canada, maybe just in time.
So that lead now down to 100 meters, and it is New Zealand breathing down the neck of the Canadians.
It's going to be tight here. We're back under 100 meters. We're going to have to be thinking New Zealand will want to try and split away from the Canadians here. If Canada turns right, you can be sure New Zealand will want to turn left.
And they're going to follow him.
They're going to follow. I'm surprised at that. Must be really feeling there's a big advantage, or perhaps he just thinks by breathing down their neck, he can force another mistake.
Uncharacteristic mistake by the Canadians. They were almost 300 meters clear, and now their lead down to 67 meters.
There you go, first to turn away New Zealand. Obviously like the advantage there. Australia, they match manoeuvres with the Kiwis, and Canada, well, they're sailing well in towards the shore here. Can they clear that boundary? The 3 posts we see there, they're not allowed to sail between that. If Canada has to dip round the edge of that red one, I think this could be a mistake by the Canadians.
And look at the speed difference.
Yeah, they're so fast. That's because Canada are trying to get above this green post to our left here. He's sailing closer to the wind, so he's going slower, but he's going to save himself some distance. Leads come down. When they turn in a minute, New Zealand will have the right of way. This could be a race, an event-defining moment here. Canada have given the opportunity to New Zealand, and New Zealand are on fire.
And New Zealand has overtaken the Canadians, their first lead of the race. So it's New Zealand, Canada, and Australia here in the final race, leg 5 of 7.
We've got those average speeds there. Canadians marginally faster at the moment, but we did see them lose all of that distance from avoiding the obstruction.
Yeah, here we go, right of way with New Zealand. Canada must be confident they're across. If they cross, they'll have control back as we get towards the top of the course. Well, that was a big save by the Canadians, but this is going to be really tight at the top of the course. Can't afford any more mistakes here.
Phil Robertson, the top of your screen. Canadians currently in first place. Peter Burling sitting in second with the home-standing Kiwis.
There on the top left, we've got the distance to lead us, 16 meters, and dropping now towards Canada.
It's really tight, but when they come back together, it'll be Canada with the right of way here until they get close to the gate. Australia, they've dropped back. I think they're out of this at this point. It's all about, can the Kiwis put enough pressure on Canada and find a chink in that Canadian armour? Nice turn there. They're neck and neck on the ladder lines. Canada have the right of way. Canada set up. They're going to try and block the New Zealand boat here. Here we go. Great manoeuvre by the Canadians, but how are they lined up for the gate here? It looks tight. New Zealand are quicker. Oh, it's so tight.
It's going to be the first to the yellow circle. Who's going to get there first and control it? It looks like Canada's opting for that right-hand side. Does Peter Burling split with him?
Canada will have the inside, but they are slow at this point in time. New Zealand are going to look to try and slingshot down inside and control the next manoeuvre. Here we go. Follows, he's going to try and pressure him with the manoeuvres. This is the final downwind leg here, Todd, and Canada have done a brilliant job of hanging in. One last roll of the dice for Australia, but I think, here we go. There go New Zealand. First to turn away, it's now just a drag race.
And the wind up to 37 kilometers an hour across the course.
It's just perfect sailing conditions, Todd. Basically, we're going to see 2 more turns down at the bottom of the course here. Another mistake by Canada.
Boundary penalty, Canada.
Oh, no! That could be, they're going to have to lose 20 metres relative to the speed of the New Zealand boat. They're going to have the right of way. This might not be the end of the race for the Canadians, but that's going to really hurt them distance-wise. Here we go, one more manoeuvre for Burling. He wants to own the zone, he just said there. He wants to be right on the inside coming into this mark, and he's going to try and do a handbrake turn inside the Canadians as his final move of the event.
That's the Canadians clear of their penalty there, so foot down, full speed ahead.
Foot down indeed. Here we go. Coming downwind here fast. Which side do they line up on these posts? Can Canada get round? Canada seem to have found an extra bit of wind here. They're going so fast on that Canadian boat. The ladder lines show us neck and neck.
It does look like the Canadians are currently laying that gate.
Canada has the right of way, but do they make it down to the gate in time here?
It's all going to come down to this at gate number 6. Then it'll be the turn to the finish line. It'll either be Canada with their driver, Phil Robertson, a Kiwi, or New Zealand will take it on home waters, and it's Canada cutting in front. So despite the penalty, they made up the ground, and it'll be a right-hand turn. And how about this? A little history made in Christchurch, as Phil Robertson will steer Canada to their first SailGP victory, and it comes at the ITM New Zealand Sail Grand Prix.
What a job by the Canadians. Wow, clinical there.
Just when it looked like New Zealand had put the pressure on and forced them into a penalty, it is Canada and Phil Robertson that get the job done. The Kiwis hold on for second place, and Australia will come in on third.
Getting right to the edge of the course there. He went a bit wide, but he meant he got past that boundary without doing any more manoeuvres. Absolutely pushing the limits there, Phil Robertson, but that's what he does, and what an amazing performance by this Canadian crew. Great to see them taking their first ever victory.
And you look at the Canadians across the board. You go back to day number 1, they had a 5th. Then they came back with a 3rd, and then they won race number 3. But in race 4, Stevie and Emily, they dropped back and got a 6th before rebounding in race number 5 and getting a 4th. So consistency up and down, but when it counted most, they delivered.
Oh, they absolutely delivered, and to be fair, they nailed the start. The start in these 3-boat races is always so crucial, and they absolutely nailed it. Perfect timing, great speed at the gun, and well, they led from start to finish, so you can't fault them. That was a brilliant performance under the biggest test.
What a performance by the Canadians.